Hey, what's up guys? Chow here.
Progress over everything. Unwavering convictions. Movement is well-being. You have to earn your sleep. And when all the time is gone, this is not a...
Because you're training all the time, like non-stop.
Yeah.
But there came a point where my body would like stop, just fucking broke. After 8 weeks of that, I felt ill, like mentally, physically, just shot. So
yeah, that's the only thing on me right now is like mentally. I'm like, you know, when you're like in prep, you're normally like really highly mentally motivated to go in the gym and kill it. Now I'm like, I swear I just left it half an hour ago.
You do look like you've cried since the last podcast we did. You look like you've been crying the whole time since.
That's because of you, not the training.
I just can't. I've tried like training more, and I just get shitter. Like not even like I have to look out for getting shitter. My strength just disappears, and I get shit. Like I don't know what amount of food I'd have to eat. I still got to eat 7,000 calories training 3 times a week. So fuck knows what I'd have to put in doing even fucking 5 days a week. I just wouldn't recover from it.
That's the best off season Luke and I ever had. We do 4 and then 3, like 4 1 week, 3 the next, 4 on.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of like every other day kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. We just we grew.
I've found that that's the best for me. I don't know, like, you know, obviously I'd give anything a go. Well, actually, now I wouldn't actually, because I've given the other thing a go, and it put me back. Like, it was noticeable. It wasn't even like a discussion. It was like, this is not working.
Yeah.
Are you going to give us an intro, Johnny McReederson?
Aye, pal, I will.
Are you going to fuck it up like last time, you dozy cunt guy?
Do you know what? If you hadn't highlighted it, I probably wouldn't have a problem with it. It's just that now you've said it, it's like as soon as I have to do the intro, I'm like, you fucking cock.
Don't worry, it wasn't my intention at all.
No, not at all. I'll let you do the introduction if you want.
All right.
Oh,
all right, cunt guts. Sorry you didn't die to the night. Wish you had. Welcome to Bashy Bros McFadden Tips. It's episode like 900 or something. I'm sure you're bored by now. You probably turned off. We got Ben Chow, big man in the blup, hibbity dibbity danger, all the way from the US of A. Don't say, well, hey, I'm not gay. Is that, yes? Catchy. I reckon it's going to...
We'll use that one.
I'm going to make moves with that. What do you reckon of that, Johnny? I could take over. I could be the host now.
I think so, mate.
Sound bites with like blip, 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 danger. Like one of those, like I could have like a little like a dub, like reverb, like dung dung, like oh mate, hand it over.
What's in his squash?
What?
What have you put in your squash? You went and played and made a squash. That is not fucking squash.
Squash. I'm just high on life, Ben. I'll tell you what, actually, I slept for 7 hours last night.
That's unusual for you.
Is that the key to a height?
Which is more than I slept the whole of last week. So now I'm just high on life. I don't sleep because I keep thinking about killing everyone, and then I've got sleep apnea, and then that's just like circles. So last night I slept for 7 hours. I feel like a new man.
Nice.
So, but anyway, Johnny, you should probably do the intro.
Yeah, maybe I should. But actually, I quite enjoyed that intro, if I'm honest. So I'm probably going to stick with it. So while we're on the run,
stitches me up the most, I know. After the Jimmy Savile escapade becoming the highlight of the whole thing, you know, I thought I was sharing a deep secret with you guys, and I got that. Don't know whether you saw this, Ben. Basically, I was sharing a childhood memory where Jimmy Savile signed my birth book because my mum was working for the BBC, and you know,
this explains a lot.
Yeah. And then that became the whole show, really. And Johnny Reed made a little excerpt with pictures of him and stuff. So, yeah.
And a song.
Apparently
a nice little song.
It was fucking bad. To be fair, I'm glad, though, because you lowered the tone of, like, everything. Like, it made everything that I'd said up until that point, like, fine.
Well, but that's the thing. The good thing is now is that anything you say won't be too shocking, you know?
Well, either that or I'll have to really have a think about it.
Right. So while we're on the run anyway, I'll probably stick with this. So for anyone watching this who doesn't know who Ben is, I'll bring Ben's page up. But
That wasn't the intro. You're supposed to say it's episode.
no, pal, I'm sorry. I'm using it.
Fine.
But I don't know why, but I've got Ryan waiting to come back in.
Oh,
You can wait.
that's on my laptop. No, I'm here. That's on my laptop. Do that.
So reject him.
I can't
No, accept
actually.
it so I can switch
Reject
over.
Ryan too.
Right. So Ben's page. Anyone who's watching this podcast watches other
Follows
podcasts.
him already because
And,
everyone in
yeah.
the whole world already.
Ben's page, if you're not following him, go over follow him. But if you're watching this podcast, you've probably seen Ben. You know who Ben is because he's very big in the game right now. But yeah, this is this handle, Spotlight Chow. We've wanted Ben on for a little while. He's been a busy man, so we've managed to get him on in between his busy schedule. So thank you for that, Ben.
My internet actually works now. So.
Yeah.
And are you expecting a baby or is it popped?
No, we're expecting. She's 27 weeks, so end of October it's due.
Any minute now.
Fucking better not be any minute.
Could do. Put a little surprise birth on you.
I'm not ready for that.
I don't think anyone's actually. I've never spoken to anyone who's had a baby, any bloke, and be like, "Oh, I was totally ready for this. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I've got all the books. I planned it. It's fine."
I do have all the books. I've not read a fucking page, but she bought me all of the books.
You should have bought the fucking audio books.
Yeah.
It depends how bad the pregnancy is. Like, if a woman can't handle the pregnancy very well, you just want the fucking baby to come. But it's different. Like, you know, I've got 3, so.
No, my miss is a bit of a warrior, to be fair. She doesn't complain about a damn thing. She's a bit of a tomboy. She's like we live out here on a ranch, and she managed the ranch on her own before I got out here. So she's kind of just gets on with shit, you know? She was a single mum, like she's got an 8-year-old boy already. She just, she didn't need me. I'm just like a house guest, and she just gets on with shit. And I'm like, all right. So I can't complain. She's good.
So,
Well, congratulations anyway, is what I was going to say.
Thank you.
give us a little rundown then, Ben. I suppose a lot of people know you as Luke Sando's wingman for a little while. But obviously you've got your own sort of history and how you got into the sport. You know, you're obviously well educated and all of that. So just give us a rundown, really.
Yeah, I'll try and keep it brief and not fucking boring. I went to university and studied human bioscience, which has nothing to do with any of this. It's more like research lab-based biochemistry stuff. And then I decided after 3 years of that I had no interest in becoming a scientist. So I became a personal trainer, then went into strength and conditioning. So I worked as a strength and conditioning coach at Saracens for a year and a half, and then just like an apprentice strength and conditioning coach. And then did some stuff with a UFC fighter. He wasn't a UFC fighter at the time. He was a British. He was in I can't remember what federation it was now, but his name's Arnold Allen. He fights in the UFC now. So I did his strength and conditioning for his amateur fights, and then fast forward a few years, I was working in London, had a motorbike accident, which was pretty severe, left me in a wheelchair, etc. I moved back home to Essex to recover. And then when I started going back into the gym, that's when I went to Ripped Gym in Essex, and then Luke was there, and we bumped into each other. So that's kind of how I got to that point.
Ripped Gym, Basildon.
Yeah, the Basildon one, yeah. And not the original Harlow. The Harlow one's the hardcore one, like the old school fucking. And then so Luke was, I think he was getting ready for the British finals in 2015, and then a week after that we started training together. And then I guess you say the rest is history. From there we kind of we spent a year working towards him. Well, I did my first show in Portsmouth, the April. Then he went and did his he did the Welsh in 2016.
Yeah.
That was his qualifier. Then the British finals he won, and then he went on from there. And I say we trained together every day. I was signed off work because of my accident, so I could basically just live a bodybuilder lifestyle. And we went at it for 4 years. And the main goal was, the first goal was for him to get his pro card, which he did pretty quickly. And then the goal from that point was to get to the Olympia. So in a weird way, we kind of reached the end of our, like what we set out to do at the beginning. And then after the Olympia is when I moved to Texas. I met my wife last year, and then I moved here kind of the end of that. And then, everyone knows the rest, really, what happened this year. So,
yeah. So you're currently getting ready for another show.
On his cut.
oh,
Did I freeze then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah.
All right. So you're currently getting ready for another show?
I am, yeah. I'd kind of semi-retired after 2017. I kind of just decided that I am pretty genetically poor. I just enjoy the training. I'm not under any illusion. And then, like I say, I was working with Milos back in 2017, and I got sepsis 3 weeks out. Then I started prepping when Luke did his last Arnold. I got to about 6 weeks out, and it just became, our training started to suffer because we were both prepping for the same weekend. So I pulled out and said to him, look, I'd rather be able to help him than both of us suffer, for me, for a shitty amateur show that I'm not going to win anyway. It's the show I was aiming to do is the one that Morgan Astley won. I would have been in his class. And I'm like, this is fucking pointless. Like, for me to kind of take away from helping Luke out, he needed me more as a training partner than to do anything else at that point. So, and then I got here, and my wife's a pro. She prepped and made it look like it was the easiest fucking thing in the world, because women just tend to do that. And I was like, oh, I could do this prep thing again. This is like, maybe I was just being a pussy before, and it's super easy. We've got a gym at the house. Like, luckily, she built it's a massive fucking gym we've got, which is 10 yards outside our front door. So I was like, well, I've got no excuse. We've got a Stairmaster, 2 tread, like I've got everything I need. And then I spoke to her after she was a few months pregnant, and I was like, what do you think about me squeezing in a show before the baby's born? Just because I don't figure I'll want to compete, or I don't think I'll be able to compete realistically with a newborn for a couple of years, right? If I do decide. And I felt like I had some unfinished business. So she was like, yeah, whatever you want to do is fine by me. Obviously, she's never really lived with a wimp of a bodybuilder before. So we had a conversation last week. I mean, she's one of the managers for Protan, and I had a conversation with the other day, and I was like, listen, you see most of these guys the days before the show, and everything's actually started to calm down for them. Like, they're already started to carb up, their training's relaxed off, they're in shape, and they're also some of the best in the world. I'm like, for the rest of us mere mortals, it fucking sucks. Like, it hurts. And I was like, you don't see the times where, like, for most people, they'll see bodybuilders at the gym and they're like full of pre-workout, full of energy, and they'll just get on with it and then go home. They don't see the bits where you're at home staring at the floor for 5 fucking hours because you don't want to move, right? And you're like, oh shit, I was supposed to breathe. Okay. And so I was like explaining to him, like, it's not, I don't find it, especially this time, I'm 32 now, I'm finding it harder to get in shape. And I kind of underestimated how hard I'd have to work this time. I thought, I've had a long break off. It's going to be easier. My body will respond. Did it? Fuck. It's been a battle. My body looks worse than it ever has at this point, which means I've got to work harder. So I went a bit brain dead last week. Luckily, I figured it out, actually. Last week's podcast with Fuad, I could barely fucking talk. And then I had a blood bag, and I said to my missus, I was like, get the blood bag and just take 600 ml of blood out. I tell you, it's like I'm a new man. I woke up the next day and I was like, holy shit, my blood must have been in a bad way. It was, I left it out on the side and I was like, I really need to throw that away because I don't want to fucking look at it. It's making me feel sick. Like it must have been so
What was
fucking...
it? Like just green? Like
No, it's
candle
like,
wax?
so obviously it separates, but yeah, to the top, the plasma level was like really fucking orange, you know, and I'm like, it should kind of be a bit clearer than that. I probably left it a bit too long to kind of give some blood, and yeah, I feel last week I was a little worried. You know, everyone expects to feel like death leading into a show, right? And I was kind of expecting that about 4 or 5 weeks out, not at 10 weeks out. At 10 weeks out, I was like, oh, I'm not going to make this. I shouldn't be feeling like this. One, I shouldn't be feeling like this and still be this fat. And I've still got 10 more weeks to go and I've got a lot of work to do. Like, it was a bit of a head fuck. So Friday morning I woke up and I was like, oh shit, that was... So yeah, if you're feeling like shit, maybe if you haven't given blood in a while, maybe, and you're taking a lot of junk.
You were a big advocate of that then, because I've literally never given blood.
Yeah, I mean, if you consider some of the crap we take and its impacts on hematocrit, red blood count, just as those two alone, then you're looking at, you know, having higher levels of iron, all those kind of things. If you add that into a prep scenario, I mean, they're on their own, they're bad enough, right? So how they can impact on blood pressure, how that can impact on your kidney health and liver health, etc. I think generally speaking, as a broad advisement, if you're going to be using these kind of compounds, you should be looking to give blood at least 2-3 times a year.
My problem is I'm worse and I pass out.
Oh no, I do too. That's why I got her to do it, and I laid the fuck down, and I went white. Like, I mean, I'm white anyway, but I went like fucking like this. She was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Just keep doing it," because the time before, the reason I didn't do it, because we tried doing it about 4 months ago, I guess, and I was a chubby fucker, and she couldn't find a vein, so she went in and kept missing, and then I was like, "Oh fuck this!" We got about 200 ml of blood out, and I was like, fucking wobbly. I was like, "I need to sit down, I need to lay down." I was just like waving the white flag on it. I'm a pussy with needles, ironically. I cannot handle it. And if I see my own blood, it's fucking game over.
Yeah.
So
You like that as well, Johnny?
Yeah.
You bunch of vaginas.
I honestly, like,
I'm a bit...
if it's intermuscular, it's okay. But if there's any veins associated with it, I'm out.
It's the same as me. I'm the same as that.
Boy, you've never pinged a butt cheek and got the fountain of doom.
Yeah, I've never given blood either.
You never done that accidentally? Just hit a fucking veiner?
I did it one time. I did it one time at my shoulder, and I just put fresh sheets on, and for some reason I was doing it next to my bed, and it went clear across the whole fucking bed. Shit.
Yeah, it's like a cartoon, like fucking pulsating out your shoulder.
Oh, lush. When one of my veins burst on my legs. I don't know whether you saw that, Johnny.
Yeah, it was fucking rank.
That was fucking...
I watched it like for 2 seconds and then turned it off.
There a video of it.
Yeah, I burst I like knocked, because I've had surgery on all the veins like taken out, like where the scars are. Some of the other veins are like really close to it, so I only have like the vein wall, and I just knocked it. It didn't hurt or anything, but it was like literally like a jet, and it just wouldn't stop. I had to go to hospital to have them close the vein. I was like, oh, I'm gonna bleed out. Oh, he's actually gagging. Amazing.
It's fucking disgusting. I remember seeing it. That's why. It just brings you back, and I'm like, oh.
Do you reckon you can just stick a fucking needle in and just piss it into like a little cup and be like, yeah, it's probably 500 ml?
Oh.
It takes a long time. If you reckon that's safe.
Luke used to do a liter into a fucking, he used to get like an empty Evian water bottle. And he used to get like a bit of fucking, not a hose pipe, but it was like literally just, and he used to get you know, the 18 gauge, the pink ones. He said, he used to that. Well, on the blood kit that they send, on the ones that I get, the medical ones, it's 16 gauge needles. So it's like an apple core going into your fucking vein. Luke used to do it himself, lean over his bathtub with the thing in and just used to push it in and then lean over it. And I was like, I'm out. I'm going.
That's crazy.
I was like, I'll wait downstairs, and if I hear a thud on the floor, I'll come up and save you. But fuck this.
What a fucking legend.
Well, man.
Yeah, but then the dirty fucker would leave the bottle on his kitchen windowsill for about 6 months.
Oh, that is lush. Hopefully someone put it back in.
Can we stop talking about that now?
Oh,
he's freezing.
Oh, no, I know how to get him. That's fucking amazing.
Have you ever been, Johnny? Have you ever been sick on?
Sorry, there's two then.
No, I said he might have been auctioning them off, waiting for the prices to go up, keeping them on the side.
Yeah, you could probably get a good amount of test out of them.
Johnny's still gonna throw up. Look at him.
He's still laughing.
I passed out in a hospital once, right? I went and I had my blood taken. I lay on the bed. They took the blood, and they were like, "It's not that bad." I was like, "Yeah, the pain doesn't bother me." I stood up. The last thing I remember is waking up on the floor, strapped up, and there was a nurse next to me on the floor. As I passed out, she tried to catch me. She hit her head.
Oh,
so we're both on the floor, and I feel like a raging cunt.
Amazing.
You know, I'm the same as you though. It's the visual, right? So I remember when I was like about 18, 19, I was opening a tin of corned beef, and you know, you get the keys that you have to. Well, that broke, so I'm like trying to prise the can open, and then as I do, it slips, and I jam the can into my hand. Right, I've got a little scar there on it. So the can's in my hand, and I'm like, well, the pain was like, it was painful, but I was like, whatever. So I went into the living room, and I was like, showed my dad. I was like, oh, he was on the phone. He's like, shit. Hung up the phone, came out, and I'm like, I'm all right. As he pulled it out, I saw the skin like flap open. I was like, I went white, fell on the floor, hit the wall, slid down. It was a bad time.
Yeah, I got this one on my arm there. Yeah, you see that scar?
You punch a window.
Yeah, actually did.
Yeah, I was
see,
gonna
every prick with that scar punched.
The forearm scar is a pane of glass, isn't it?
Yeah.
Punch through, it'll be fine. Oh no, literally.
I was young. My brother was on the other side, so I punched him through the window.
Yeah, fucking stupid. That'll teach him.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we move on from that, just in case I pass out on the podcast, you know.
It's because you won't pass out.
You know. So, I did have a couple of questions for you, Ben. So, the first one is the one that you've probably already answered. Jacob, but has asked if you were going for a pro card.
Nope. I know I'm realistic. I know that I'm a piece of shit on stage, so I don't look good. I'm not a good bodybuilder. I don't know what to tell you. I structurally, genetically, I look shit. So what's the point? Was
that ever a goal of yours initially, or?
No, not really. I mean, Luke and I started training. I think I've said this before. I got very lucky in training with Luke. Allowed me to realize very quickly that there's big levels in this, right? And I think had I been training with someone who was like a good amateur and maybe became, and I don't want to, you know, if I say someone like Jamie Chow, right? Because I like Jamie and I are friends, and he'll admit he doesn't have like the genetics that Luke does, right? And he's had to work really hard to get where he is. I think if I'd have started off with Jamie and him and I trained, I think maybe I'd have been like, oh, well, we're both kind of progressing. You know, it wasn't such a big difference, you know, maybe. And I might have convinced myself that it was a possibility, you know, or that it would have been a worthwhile goal. Because I think now I don't need it, you know. I think
when you train with somebody who gets it like that, it in your mind, you're thinking, well, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, it's kind of like, it can be motivating on one hand, but it can also be, I don't want to say demotivating. it just keeps you grounded, right? It's like if you were to go and play basketball with Michael Jordan, you go, oh, there's, you know, no matter how hard I try, I'm not going to quite ever get near him. And, you know, I spent, like I said, I was signed off work and we were training for 2.5, 3 years, and I threw the kitchen fucking sink at it, right? There wasn't an excuse. There wasn't, you know, I had a bunch of injuries, but whatever. They're not going to go away. You know, from my accident, they are what they are. And my body just, you know, we were lifting, a lot of times Luke and I would lift the same weight for the same reps. And I was trying to squeeze the shit out of it. Like, I'd go away. We took the same stuff. It wasn't like, you know, I'd go to his in the morning and I'd spend all day at his. And we'd take our stuff together. We'd eat our meals together. I'm like, I'm literally doing exactly what he does. Exactly. The only thing I don't have is his genetics, right? Because everything else is the same. And our bodies just changed very differently. And I think that allowed me to go, yeah, you can't do what he's doing. No matter how much you want to do it, no matter how much you tell yourself hard work will get you wherever you want to be, if you manage to pick a shitty show where no cunt turns up and get your pro card, you're going to be a shit fucking pro at best. So what's the point?
Again, basically.
Sorry?
You'll never compete again, really.
Right, yeah, it's getting a pro card for the title's sake. And financially, career-wise, I don't need that. It's not going to do anything for me. My coaching business, my contract with Red, like it's all, I don't need that to validate the other. And so I'm going, well, like I say, it was lucky in a way because I think training with Luke really kept me grounded and stopped me from doing something stupid, like jeopardizing my health to try to turn pro or costing myself relationships. I mean, I did that anyway because we all do that shit, right? You tend to fuck up a relationship. You tend to neglect your family and do all that kind of bullshit. But I think I would have done it worse. So I look at it as a blessing, and yeah, I have no disillusion or illusion of grandeur that I'm better than I am. I mean, I know what I'm looking at when I coach other people. I've seen the pros, and I know what I look at when I see myself, right? I'm realistic about it. So
yeah, it's unusual these days to speak to somebody who's got that realistic third-person perspective.
Everyone kind of silent. We're like, what is this?
Yeah.
Why are they speaking the truth about, like, I mean, obviously no one's saying Ben's like shit. He's saying he's shit. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to get involved in that. You're not shit. But, like, I guess the level in which that you want to excel at something isn't enough just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I have decent genetics. I've got a pretty good metabolism, and I could look worse, right? So, but there's so many levels to this. There's, you know, and it's not.
It's interesting to know, like, literally when you put you and Luke together and you spent all the time together and you matched each other, you know, weight for weight, and the only real difference was that Luke was Luke and you weren't. It's like that, you know, the proof's in that fucking pudding, isn't it, really? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like also people just saying, like, you know, if you lift weights, you know, heavy weights, you'll be massive. And it's like, not really. Like, look at every powerlifter ever, like, they've got shit legs generally. Like, you know, like, it is so genetic. It is so genetic. But I probably am just going to get my pro card and then quit.
So would you do a pro show then, Dan?
Would I?
Yeah.
If I was given the opportunity, maybe. I'd have to do it pretty soon off the bat, I think.
Because your upper body's pro standard now, isn't it? It's just if your legs were in line with that, you'd probably do well at a pro show, if I'm honest.
Well, that's very kind of you. I mean, that kind of goes to, like, again, like, I train my fucking legs hard. If you see anything, I train them hard. I'm doing stuff that people with massive legs are doing or not even doing. But my genetics don't like growing my legs. But, mate, give me a fucking barbell and I'll grow your back. Like, it's, you know, horses for courses. But it's good. A good insight about, like, the Luke, the only, Luke and Ben is the only variable was two different genetic standards.
That's what I mean. Like, you get a lot of guys that will train together, but then they all leave and one goes home and does something completely different to the other, right? And then you can get two guys that make different progress because one of them's going home and taking it seriously, getting all his meals in, doing everything else, and the other one's going home, fucking about, getting McDonald's, missing meals.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case. We pretty much lived together. Aside from when it got late, I'd drive home and go to bed, wake up in the morning, go back to Luke's. You know, and we ate everything. It was regimented, and we did it. Like, there was a time I was saying before where Luke was like 8 weeks out from the Arnold, and I got stuck up in Birmingham. My car broke down, and so I called Luke. I was like, look, I'm not gonna be able to train today, or probably tomorrow. I've got to stay up here and get my car fixed. He was like, no, fuck that, I'll come pick you up. So he drove 3.5 hours, came and picked me up. We drove to Emporium, trained, and then he drove me all the way back to Essex. And he said, when your car's ready, I'll drive you back up. He was 8 weeks out from the Arnold. Like, we didn't miss a fucking training session. You know, that's how much time we spent together. And that's how it allowed me to notice that, listen, I'm not, you know, it's not like I'm not getting where he's getting because I'm not trying.
It's really nice to hear those, though. That's great memories, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I'm very lucky to kind of that I got to see behind the curtain day in, day out, you know? It's,
of course.
So the next question, same guy. And obviously everyone knows you for being particularly strong, especially on the squats. So you got all-time PBs for your squat, deadlift, and bench.
I'll do it in kilos, right? Because so my best squat is 310 kilos for 4. My best deadlift is 340 for 7. My best bench is 180 for 9. I don't know I've never gone heavier to go lower on the bench. You know?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you do?
Ruptured my pec clean off the bone.
Someone said that to me yesterday. I put a video of me benching him. I was like, "Oh, you're not scared of the bodybuilder curse of flat bench?" And I'm like, "Well, I never really go below 8 on it, so I kind of feel like I'm avoiding that iffy kind of." Plus, flat bench for me feels okay, but I know a lot of guys that have done their pec on a flat bench.
Mine was on a flat bench, but it was not long after a show as well, so the tendons were still probably a bit dehydrated, and I was having that superficial strength from all the extra food. So I was thinking,
all that water. No, I was into Phil. Phil had tore his lat during a prep after a refeed day because he got such a big pump, had so much water that it kind of put the muscle was so swollen up, it pulled it off. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to be careful. It's like you say, you get that false sense of, oh, I feel massive, I feel strong and great. It's always that, like, it's a balance point in a prep and afterwards with how heavy you should go or need to go. Because I do think there's times where a lot of us carry on trying to keep up with what we were doing in the off season and digging ourselves in the hole, but also jeopardizing injuries, right? It's a real tricky one.
I think for me at that point, go on, Dan.
You need to accept that you're going to get weaker and not cover it up with shit form, which is what I usually see. People get weaker and then they chase in the old numbers, like, yeah, I'm still strong, but their form goes to dog shit and then they're tearing stuff up. Like, that's generally what is when someone's like, yes, 4 weeks out and still just as strong as I was, it's usually them jerking around like they got fucking Parkinson's, quivering all over the place. Like, it's not
like the old Tom Platz leg curl.
Yeah. Absolutely hurling it. The machine's jumped about 3 spaces to the left. Usually I think it's probably like that, but it's hard because you get into that mindset, don't you? And you're like, I must be. This is the one. I'm going to be massive.
but you also don't want to feel like you didn't give everything you had, right? You're like, well, I used to bench, I don't know what, like 140 for whatever it is. Well, if I hold back, even if you, like, especially if you decide going in, you're going to stay at a weight, maybe 80%, you're already almost like deciding that you're going to give less, but you're being sensible, but I don't know, it's a real mental balance.
I must say, I probably actually do just do that. I do keep the form, and I do get weaker. And when I'm certainly not keeping a fucking logbook or anything when I'm doing prep, because I know that's just gonna I don't keep a logbook anyway. I just remember stuff in my mind.
I'm like, Luke and I had never kept a logbook. We just knew what we'd done to do more. I don't know.
Later, I would go, oh, I did that. And I'd be like, yeah. And then next time I'd be like, hey, what did I do? Yes, in my mind, it is there.
Jack?
I don't understand that.
17 weeks, 18 weeks.
Off.
Jack, are you a logbooker?
I haven't touched one in nearly 20 weeks, so.
Fuck no, that's because of the lockdown. You in the gym, you were that guy, you know what I mean?
No, he's right. No, he's full of shit. During Corona, he's like, no training today. Corona lockdown, day 4.
Walks up the stairs 5 times.
I'm a soft natty. I can't get away with fluffing and pumping up the muscles, see? So I got to progress somehow.
Yeah, he had to drop that in there, didn't he? Oh, but I'm a natty.
Because I'm natty, I don't have the brain function to make memories, and so I can't remember like 3 numbers a day. Fuck off, Jack. Just remember at the end of the day, write down. Don't get me wrong. If you're logbooking, that's cool. I see a lot of people. Maybe it helps them, but I just think maybe you could not sit on the bench for 20 minutes, like doing fake drawings of penises or whatever the fuck they're doing. It doesn't take that long to write that number in the fucking
being hangman.
You could remember like those 3 numbers. I reckon you could if you really tried. Like, did some fucking meditation. And at the end of the session, you could open the book. You could write all 3 numbers at the end of the session when you're out of fucking gym. Fuck.
So on the natty topic, Geraint messaged me yesterday ranting about a particular person.
Well, this guy, Geraint.
Yes.
Right.
Do you want to elaborate, G?
Oh, good.
Well, to be fair, our podcast is probably not that big, so.
Is it Mike O'Hearn,
yeah, like, it just fucks me off that people think he's a fucking natural. It's like, there's been video footage in the past of some sort of shit in his kitchen that was on the table that he was taking or something. I'm not sure if it's entirely true. But like, I'm trying to get.
I remember a clip, and there was a freeze frame of like he left his fridge open a bit too long.
I believe it to a point. When I trained with him with Ben in LA at 4 a.m. in the morning. The guy was fucking full stacking the lat pull down. And you just look at a physique like his; it doesn't have that sort of natural, like fake muscle to it. No, I think he is.
Oh right. Oh, fair enough. Because
if you see him in eyes, he's got. His rear delts aren't really that good, and that's always a big decider, I think, in someone who takes a lot of gear or not.
Now you're saying a lot of gear.
A lot more soft up the back end.
He says he's natty. Natty.
Okay, well, obviously, he's just prescribed 400, 500 milligrams a week.
Because there's been some things people have said about, like, what was it? Like, he'll do it for, like, 4 months of the year and then come off clean, and then that puts him across as a natural, and then there's been other things in there he's completely natural. And I just want to get the truth, like, I just want to be like,
obviously, I don't give a fuck on any fucking level about whatever the fuck he's doing. Of no concern to me, this weird old young muscly, not muscly, natty person that I've never met.
I am a fan. I'm a fan of him. I am, like, and I felt bad when he came off that stage, when he was coming off for, he was on stage or something. What was that for?
Oh, and he just dropped.
Oh, fuck, man, I felt so bad for him.
He fell off, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, there's been so many beams that he's, like, fallen through the ground and gone into the fucking centre of the earth. Come on, man. Yeah. But, yeah, I am a fan of him, like, but, I mean, there's been, like, so much fucking controversial stuff about this, and I'd be like, right, there's the fucking truth there.
Well, I reckon we should ask Ben, and then whatever he says, that's the fact. Ben,
What's your thoughts, Ben?
natty or not?
I think he's full of shit, but I also think if he, regardless of what he's taking, he looks great and he's got a hell of a physique. I don't give a shit. I'm with you. I don't give a shit what he's taking.
If he is on something, he can't be on a lot because for his age, he looks really good. Like facially, all the hair and.
Yeah, but look at Jay Cutler, you soft gun.
Yeah, but look at me.
He's older than Jay Cutler.
Yeah, but look at Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
Jay Cutler now looks about 30. He looks younger now than he did when he was competing in that. You know, she can't have.
James Hollinshead looks like he's fucking granddad.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, we'll move along because
Cuba had his 40th birthday the other day.
Today, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So let's
There's
wish
free
him
cake.
happy 40th. But then I think it was like 26 or something. So
Yeah, he's fucking young.
his real age is 40, but based on his UK passport, he's 26.
yeah.
The bit that used to make me laugh, it would be like myself, Jordan Peters, James, and Luke, and I'm the oldest.
Got that
I'm like,
fresh
how the fuck does that work? They all look like they're 10
You
years
get
old.
connects in different way, Ben. You got the
Yeah.
handsome face.
Well, I'm a twig.
Yeah. You can't have everything, mate. You can't have everything.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's
How old
the
are-
reason I think there might be a God. If he'd have given you the gains as well, I'd be like, nah, there's only Satan.
How old are you, Ben?
Oh, fucking 32. I'll be 33 in February. Yeah.
I'm 32. It's not too bad.
32 was still decent. I could like wake up without crying, like loads of stuff.
How old are you now?
I'm 36. So yeah, I'm fucked. But like I started life late. That's my excuse.
Hey, look, you could qualify. You could get your pro card as a master's now.
Oh, gross. I think I'd rather.
Oh, Graham.
I'd never even thought about how horrible that is.
There's a lot of fuckers out here that are turning pro as masters, and then fuck knows what they're doing with it. But
I mean, to be fair though, like some of the guys that are doing opens are old enough to be masters anyway.
yeah, but none of them turned fucking pro as masters.
No, exactly.
True.
Like, name me an Olympian that turned pro as a masters.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
It's like a Legoland driving license.
I think I've got one of those.
I had one of those. They're excellent.
It's next to his NABA pro card.
Oh, I've got nothing. That was very quick.
That was good.
Very quick, and it's good. It's nice.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
the next
another
question. Yeah, another question. So the last one I had was somebody asked, how's your experience working with Saracens rugby athletes compared to the bodybuilding clients?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
Oh, bodybuilders pussies. That's what we want to know.
No, do you know what? I think the bodybuilders, and bearing in mind, this is 10 or 11 years ago that I was in those Saracens doors. So things might be very, very different now. Bodybuilders, considering the guys I was around were full professional, like internationals. It was the men's first and reserve teams. It wasn't like I was coaching down at the youth team. Bodybuilders are way more dedicated, especially at the amateur level, with no real payoff or glory. Like it's a day in, day out obsession that doesn't make any fucking sense unless you're one of us, right? Like it doesn't make fucking sense. It's so. I was talking to my dad the other day. He's like, he goes, it's all fucking bollocks. You're either full up on food or you're starving to death, and there's never a happy medium. It's always one extreme to the next. Don't get me wrong, the rugby boys are like those athletes. They're athletes, right? Their performance and their ability to their power output's phenomenal. I just don't think that I think a lot of athletes could be better if they applied our mentality to their sport. Like, because our mentality is never off, right? It's always next meal, bedtime, wake up time. Like, you'll get, obviously in certain sports, you'll get the elite guys, and some of them are obsessive, right? Like the Michael Jordans that take it and try to, they're the genetic best and they're obsessed. When you add those two things together, but I think there are a lot of pro athletes that are just genetically gifted. And I don't think they're as obsessed as some amateur bodybuilders that I know, you know. And I think, Christ, if you could take that work ethic and mentality that some bodybuilders have and apply it, you know, and that's where you get the greats, right? That's where you get the Ronnie Colemans, the Dorians, when you add in that work ethic with the genetic freaks. And I think a lot of pro athletes in the, like, say, American football, soccer, like, well, football, I'm not going to call it soccer, I apologize, sorry. Fucking hell, yeah. Footballers, basketball, whatever. I think a lot of those guys, don't get me wrong, they work hard, but it's not a 24-hour obsession. It's not there's just something different with us, like in a unhinged, not healthy way.
Yeah,
I think like a lot of bodybuilders get into it for a different reason than other people explore other sports, you know, being like solitary, you know, as an outlet, you know, even like, you know, even if you don't make it, you know, some people just need that outlet. Most people that aren't just the genetic like freaks who can just fly by and they're enjoying the glory and all the way through and stuff, are doing bodybuilding as a byproduct because they need to go and put some fucking work down, and they don't want to rely on no fucking team. They don't want to rely on no one else. They want to go, put it down themselves, be accountable themselves, and they like need it. It's like a need.
Yeah. You know, the thing, there's a sport that I've seen a similarity in, again, it's the fighters.
Yeah.
Mm.
They have a similar thing that we have, you know, and that's why I don't really, you know, I'm in bodybuilding, but the sport I watch is like the UFC, mixed martial arts. That's what I watch because I can appreciate that. Again, it's that solitary endeavor, and it's, you know, when I was working with Arnold, he was 17, 18, and he had this obsession, this, I want to do everything counts towards, because I mean, fuck it, we only get on stage, these boys have to get in a cage with some other guy fucking throwing bombs at them, right? There's nowhere to hide with that one.
It's the most primal shit fucking ever. Like,
yeah,
it's like humanity, it's like core, isn't it? You know, and although they try, you know, you can do it as a sportsman, and some of the fighters are very sportsmanlike, and it really is that. When you flip the switch, find another man for survival.
Yeah, and if you, if you take that and think, okay, I'm going to get ready for a show, right? And you're like, oh, I don't want to get on stage and have the guy next to me have done more and look better than me. They're getting in a fucking cage, and if the guy they're getting across has done more than them, they're getting knocked the fuck out. Like that.
Yeah.
There's a different, you know, we walk off stage and go, oh, that was shit, let's get a pizza.
Yeah.
They walk out, go, let's go to fucking hospital, right? Grab
the teeth off the ground.
That's something I learned off my first prep. That's the first thing coming to my head. I thought, fuck, because I'm massive into the UFC myself. And after my first prep, I was like, Joe, I only go up on stage for like fucking 10 minutes. You know what I mean? These boys are going in on prep. They prep themselves for fights, and then they go in the cage against fucking thrown about. Like, I mean, it was something like I thought it really taught me, like, fuck, you know, it's not all that bad, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Imagine the pride hit. Oh, you didn't win your trophy. Like when you stood in pants, like next to another guy, and like, oh yeah, have a cry about it. Oh, politics or whatever. But like having to pick your lip off the fucking mat, or like you pooed yourself because you got kicked so hard in the fucking sternum. Like that's like a different. Like that loss is gonna hit you fucking hard, man. Like hard. Mate, I've got massive like respect, because you got to put it all on the line as a fighter. You're putting yourself out there, like as you as well. Like as a bodybuilder, I kind of like am a bodybuilder and then I'm me. Like I can kind of remove myself a little bit from, like, I know if I'm being, and this is another thing that I think the females struggle with, I go on the stage and get beaten, like not as me as a bodybuilder. It's nothing personal, and then I go, oh, I lost it. But to bring you into a cage and get fucking handed, mate, that's there's no half measure, is there? You can't like.
No. But it's like, you know, we'll get on stage and it's like, turn to the rear and you go, oh, I think fuck for that, I can breathe. Like, you can relax a little, like you let your stomach out. You can't fucking relax. Well, you're gonna relax, you get your head taken off. Like, no.
On that note, Ben.
And then you might just have your head taken off because you blinked in the wrong time. Anyway, you have that whole element of like chance as well. Yeah, fighting's fucking sick. Yeah, huge respect for that. But I think, it's interesting you say that, and I've always thought that must be the same, because when you know you're gonna get your face smashed in like properly, you're gonna have to put it all in, aren't you? Really?
You think about that, you're doing cardio and you're like, oh, I'm a bit hungry, oh, I need to be leaner. If you're working, got to do road work or something, getting ready for a fight, you're like, and you know the guy as well, you know, like you're getting ready for a show, you know, oh, I don't know who's gonna turn up.
Yeah,
so you get booked against someone and you're like, oh, he's a pretty big dude. Like, I've seen him knock this guy out. You haven't seen.
Yeah, you're like,
you're gonna be motivated to fuck. You're gonna get up and work. Like, yeah, they don't mess around.
Who you got for Khabib and Gaethje, Ben?
Well, you're not gonna bet against Khabib, are you? Like,
no.
I like Gaethje a lot. Like,
yeah,
my personal preference is Gaethje, but I'm not putting money on him. Like, Fuad and I bet on all the UFC now, and I'm like, I'm not betting on that one. Like, I'm not losing on.
I think for me, I just hope Gaethje does like full 5 rounds with him. You know, it's just that sort of just a last with him. You know what I mean? That's my thought on that fight.
I think he's probably got the best chance to take him 5 rounds. Like, what's his name? Who's the New Jersey guy that went 5 rounds with him in the last minute?
Oh, Quinta, is it?
Yeah, Al Quinta, yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you can do the same thing as that, it'll be a similar fight to that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Good question, John, or?
No, anybody got any more questions?
Just going back to what you said.
Couldn't have come across as someone who gave a fuck less if you tried just then. That was unreal.
I was looking on my phone at blood removal kits.
Is that where you came over all like faint?
I was looking at blood and I was all dizzy again.
Has anyone else got any questions?
Well, I'll check this question out. With your degree, Ben, has that helped you with your business / physique?
Yes and no. It helps me on one aspect, but it can also be a little. Sometimes I can overthink some things, and I think a lot of times that's where I'm like, shit, I need to separate the biochemistry and just get on with shit. You know, sometimes I think that's a lot of people can be guilty of doing that at the minute, trying to outsmart bodybuilding, trying to outthink it and be too fucking scientific about it. And that's what I've done the last 2 weeks. I went, stop thinking and just do the fucking work. There's no science or anything that's going to do the cardio for you that's going to get you in fucking shape, you know? So although it's allowed me to have a better understanding, like I do a lot of work with clients with insulin and growth hormone, and a lot of what I did at the biochemistry level, certainly my second year, really helps cross over into the understanding of it. The understanding certainly has helped, but the application is just, sometimes it can hold me back a little bit where I'm trying to be too smart about things, you know? I think that's probably a fair.
You know more about coronavirus because of your degree?
I got a little bit of knowledge on some disease stuff. Yeah, because a lot of what we were doing was testing antibodies and.
So we're all gonna die.
Yeah, pretty much. Everyone's fucked. But you're all gonna die before coronavirus anyway, so don't worry about it.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that. I forgot I wasn't immortal. Actually,
Yeah.
That's a fairly good point. Johnny looks like he has become immortal.
He's still looking at blood kiss, isn't he?
He's dreaming about drawing his own blood.
He's literally fucked now. Ben, who was your first bodybuilding client, coaching wise?
My first client.
Do you remember? I mean, how long since you took your first bodybuilder?
A long time ago when I was PTing back in like 8-9 years ago, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you were doing
I
like
don't.
kind of online thing then? Like,
Yeah, a little bit. Especially when I went and worked for a company called Ultimate Performance. I was PTing with them in London, and they end up giving me a bunch of clients. I mean, the online clients there were mainly like executives and just fluffy ones, but the occasional physique guy client or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I can't remember that.
what do you think there was the thing, other than being devilishly handsome, that catapulted you into, you know, because you got famous for that shit?
For what shit?
For being a bit of a coach, a bit of a fucking man then.
I'm famous for being Luke's training partner. That's, you know, without Luke, no one knows who I am, really.
So that was, you got clients because of, it seemed like you were involved in that, or were you involved in that?
No, I wasn't. I mean, I was coaching before I met Luke. I just think Luke and I started off, and neither of us were. I mean, he was decently well known in the amateur scene at that point, but I just think I hate calling it popularity because I'm not fucking popular. I'm just a bloke. But my visibility increased because Luke's visibility increased. You know, it's just a way that it happened. I've given. It's funny. I can't like. It's a difficult one because I've helped out a lot of guys that I shouldn't have helped out. Put it that way. There's a lot of pros that I've helped, especially in the final few weeks of their shows, unofficially, that had other coaches. And I think I got some respect from them. And I just have this within the community, being backstage and helping out. I don't know, I just seem to have, and I'll never drop names, and because that's, you know, their coach did all the work with them, and I just gave them some advice here and there and helped a couple of guys peak, and I don't really ever want credit for it other than their personal credit, as in between, on a personal note. I don't need them to go off and tell everyone, but I have helped some decent guys out, and I enjoy it. And I really, that's where I think some of the science that I have comes into play with, especially with diuretic use and peaking people for shows. I helped a couple of NABA guys with the Universe a few years ago. And then I've helped a couple of IFBB guys with their peaks and things like that. And for the most part, they've all gone pretty well. And then they've adopted my little strategy that I use.
So I think, given the fact that obviously you were with Luke, it probably gave you that profile and people saw you. But I think you got a lot of people's respect based on the fact that you always come across pretty knowledgeable. Most podcasts and any sort of, you know, anything where you're speaking on, you're pretty well informed. People generally will come to you for advice. So, I mean, I take the point that obviously it kind of catapulted you being involved with Luke, but what's keeping you so relevant is your knowledge and obviously your experiences.
Yeah, I appreciate. I mean, you know, I think that's one thing that, again, with Luke and I, like Luke, if anyone that knew Luke personally knew he wasn't just a dumb bodybuilder, right? He really knew his stuff as well. You know, Ronnie Coleman, you wouldn't take advice off of Ronnie, right? Really. You take some experience advice off him, but you wouldn't take like some diet advice off Ronnie.
No.
I wouldn't anyway. But Luke really knew the ins and outs, you know? And I think him and I could always have a conversation on that, and he respected that. And he often would give me credit for a lot of things. And I wasn't ever one of these looking to be well known, or I still don't give a shit. Like, that's not really my driving force, you know? I don't want to be a pro. I don't want to be famous. I just enjoy what I do. and I like, if I can get paid to do it, then great. And if I can provide for my family, then great. But aside from that, it interests me. And like I say, I started off with a good background in science, and that just let me sound intelligent, I guess. I have some words that I can put together.
I'm literally I'm like a bit stumped because I've not actually come across someone that puts himself down more than me. So now even I'm like, what I was trying to say is John put it quite well, because I was like, yeah, but like loads of people have trained with people that are fucking famous or been associated, you know, a little bit of coattailing off someone, but you've made like an actual like career. You can't be doing that shit because you're like Redcon associated. You live in the States in some sort of weird gym ranch where you can do whatever the fuck you want. Like you're not exactly doing shit, are you? And that shit doesn't come off the back of doing fuck all. Like,
no, I just think the way I go about things is I try to be just honest and open about whatever. If I don't know something, I'll say, I don't know, I haven't got a fucking clue. I think, especially with my social media, like for a long time, and I still am, I was very vocal about what I'm taking. And I would give people, I kind of just pull down the curtain on things, right? Rather than just being a physique or a profile online, I would give the backstory to, so right now I'm running XYZ.
That was
and
quite
I just tried,
new at that time as well. Like not a lot of people were doing that, because I do remember like seeing it, and also that was potentially an insight into what Luke was doing at the time.
I think this is where a lot of people then went, oh, well, if he's not going to be doing something completely terribly far away from what Luke's doing, right? And I was like, well, actually, you probably find I was doing almost exactly what Luke was doing.
Yeah, that's what people were hoping, anyway.
Yeah. And, you know, if I took a big dose, I would say I took a big dose. I wouldn't fluff it up and dumb it down to make it look like I was being sensible and careful. If I wasn't being sensible and careful, I'd say I'm trying, I'd call it an experiment. Like I'm experimenting with a ton of insulin, a ton of growth hormone, and a ton of parabolin right now. You know, and I'd put it up and I'd put it out there. And I think, or I hope that seems to have endeared people or attracted people to the information I put out. And that's what I try to do. If I look shit, I put it up and I go, by the way, I know I look like, I'm not, like I have a bunch of people being like, someone wrote my thing the other day, like, you got terrible genetics. I'm like, so I wrote back, I was like, you must be new here. Because I know, like, that's a narrative that I constantly, like, I don't hide from that. I address my flaw. Like you said, you put yourself down. It's my safety mechanism, right? I'll put myself down before you can.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Right? And then I'm safe and you can't attack me because I've already attacked myself. So I've disarmed you. Now I can just be open and honest, and hopefully you're not judging me off of what you think I'm trying to be. You're just judging me off of what I am.
Yeah.
I think all the people who are like pretty big names or relevant in the game at the moment, like people who are genuine and people who aren't afraid to say it as it is. I think the people who are pretenders tend to, you know, quickly disappear in this industry.
I think that phase is been and gone, you know, like when social media first became new, it was about just putting up a sexy picture, right? It was all about the visual. Now it's becoming about the information and the credibility behind it.
Yeah, I remember there was the beach photo with the sausage legs. Or was it? No, by the pool, you got the sausage legs. You've got to have, like, you're sitting by the pool, but it's from behind just your bum. And then you've got to, like, do the hair. You go like that with your hair, and then it makes the water thing. You've got to be hashtag blessed.
If you see wings on the wall, you've got a photo of that.
Live your best life. I'm living my best life. And then everyone's account was the same for about 3 years.
Yeah.
I remember that. There was some good wanks.
The best ones when people are standing next to Range Rovers or leaning on the cover.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not even their car. That's amazing to me.
One thing, I don't know why this offended me so much, but someone literally had a photo of them next to a Range Rover and was like, I finally achieved my dream since I was a boy. I was like, your dream was to own a car?
I wanted to be an astronaut.
Mate, I wanted to be, like, a car, really? Like, that's a shit dream. It just shows, like, at least you're a cunt to do all that heavy lifting for your lack of personality. But imagine just sitting around, like, imagining, like, oh, I can't wait to have a car. Fucking hell, mate. Like, what a dull cunt. I won't name him, but...
You remember who this was, though?
A well-known physique competitor, don't worry about it.
We discussed that before.
I feel like I know who he's on about.
Of course you do.
Ryan, now you've actually woke up, pal.
No, I'm observing. This is,
Mate,
you're giving. You can shut your mouth, but you can't shut your ears. You see?
You were like literally like this, just like.
He's slowly disappearing off the camera, like.
It's not. It's the fucking 20 IU of insulin Milos had him jab about 10 minutes ago.
How many carbs am I allowed with this 20 IU of insulin? None. Oh, okay, that sounds like a good idea. Let me just do that under my eyeballs.
Pre-cardio, 20 IU of insulin fasted. Go.
In all fairness, though, right, those photos you put up recently, mate, you look fucking big, bro.
Well, again, talking about that, like putting yourself down. I'm one of those sort of people, but no, I just think it's the best. Like, I normally have to diet really hard in terms of like food and stuff to be able to drop weight and feel like fairly lean. And I'm like still 1,200 grams of carbs. I'm like, I feel like I'm not even doing anything. But that's the thing, it kind of stresses me out because I'm kind of that person that, from all the past experiences of dieting. Like now I'm not on this like hard diet. I'm like, I don't really feel like I'm dieting. It's kind of like, I'd rather be at that extreme. It's kind of in my head. Huh?
What about the training? Because you're training 75 times an hour or something.
Yeah, this is what I was trying to say before. Because there are so many sessions, that's the only thing that I'm personally struggling with is it's like the mental clarity. It would be like, when you like, I used to be like sort of drum myself into that session, like trying to, I'm going to go fucking kill some legs. That's where now I'm like, all right, I've got quads AM, fucking hamstrings PM, and then I've got fucking back. It's just kind of really, makes it harder for me, that sort of situation.
I'm not going to lie, since you started doing it, you have looked like you've been a bit sad.
And it's just, again, it's one of those sort of things that kind of stresses me out a bit more because then I'm like, got to fit the meals in and then go home and take this fucking amino acid and then that and this.
When I did it with, when I was with Milos, so when I did the doubles, Luke was like, I'm not training that often. He's like, fuck that. He goes, I'll burn out. So I'd go in the morning, I'd do the first one, then I'd wait in the gym and Luke would come in and we'd train together for the second session. And it would be a full Luke session on the second one. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm not supposed to be training like at that intensity on a double with Luke. It's mad.
Yes, of course. Like I spoke to Ben BPAC about it. He doesn't think it's a good idea for me to be doing it either, but I don't know. I'm just sticking to the plan.
I think it's good. I think it's good short term. I think you can do little, like 8 weeks of it, and I think you can because I looked like there's a picture that I took when I was 287. First thing in the morning in my back garden. It's the only time I've ever looked like an actual bodybuilder, right?
When you were doing it.
Yeah, I was round, and I'm not round. I'm like quite a tall, slim. I'm more like a classic look guy, right? I have more of a classic line to me. The time I was working with Milos, he turned me into a round-looking bodybuilder.
It's good because, again, being tall is something that I kind of feel like I struggle with. Is when I diet, I lose that sort of pop.
No,
so
right? You got for a young lad, you've got like very round muscle bellies. Like you tend to find that muscle maturity doesn't come till like sort of mid to late 20s. So, like for you, considering your age and all, I know you've been competing longer than most at this point, for your age, but your muscle maturity is fucking brilliant. In all fairness, man, you're fucking round and big, and for a guy who's so fucking tall, you've already filled your frame pretty quickly, man.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't feel like that, but I feel like I need to be 350.
Yeah, but that's only because your head weighs 150.
Yeah.
Can't do that shit like faster. Just gotta weigh it out. The rest of the time.
That's the truth, isn't it? Like that's the one thing I struggle with is like
you're a millennial.
I don't think I am. I think I'm a Generation X, whatever it's called.
Cunt. Generation cunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, I get stressed about the fact of, I feel like I've been doing this for ages, but I haven't really, in the world of like 6-7 years. It's not really a lot compared to most people, especially I've only been training 6 years.
21, I literally hadn't even, like, you only just turned 22. I'd never picked up a weight ever in my life.
I started bodybuilding when I was 25.
Yeah, so I think you'll be all right, Ryan, as long as you don't pussy out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, honestly, though, like, especially now, all this training, I'm like, mentally, I feel a bit scarred, like burnt out. I remember that sort of, I can't remember who it was. Well, a few years ago, people were telling me that. They were like, Ryan, you should slow down, otherwise you'll burn out mentally. And I was like, yeah, okay. And now I'm like in the gym, like training, like nowhere near as hard as I used to be able to. I'm like, maybe I'm burning out.
Just don't do a Trey Brewer.
I think we all feel that way, though. I certainly feel like I trained harder. Like when I was natural, I'd be like, God, when I was like 23, some of those sessions I did then, I'd be like, I couldn't even dream of doing right now. I'm like, fucking hell, I'd murder myself when I was 23, you know?
Yeah, like I get like really anxious about that. I'm like, yeah, I've got to train legs today. Go in there, train legs, then leave. I'm like, that's fucking poor as fuck. I could find like 10 videos at least on my Instagram of things where I could like done twice as many reps with twice as much weight. And I'm like, 10. I don't understand it, you know?
Dan.
And obviously in this life, I'm trying to protect my mental like health as well. So
look, the one thing I'll say is it's never linear, right? You can't just progress every single day for the next 10 years. It's never going to, like, that's unrealistic. You know, I mean, you look at sports, other sports, they go through cycles, right? They'll peak and pull back. And I think sometimes as young bodybuilders, we don't know how to take our foot off the gas. That comes later on. Like, I've started to learn to do that the last 2 years. I know when to take a step back, give myself some time, and not feel like, oh, if I didn't train hard as like for the last 3 months, that I've lost 3 months. I look at it as in I was resetting so that now I can push again harder. You know, it's, I don't know. What do you think, Dan? Because you're probably the most
experienced. That's my protocol. Like, literally, when I'm taking the Clarky caps and the Wurzel pistols and the Way Isolate, then I push. And then when I do a push, usually I've got some tendonitis, some little things I've picked up along the way. I'm completely fucked. And then I clean out. And then I, like, not chill the fuck out, but I take a step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I do that on purpose to avoid me being forced to do it, potentially for longer.
Yeah. I think if you're forced to have to take a break, you've waited too long, right? Yeah. It's like being thirsty. If you wait till you're thirsty to drink, you're already dehydrated, right? If you
yeah, exactly. And also, like, you know, if sometimes your break will be ordered by snapping something off, or like, do you know what I mean? And also mentally, being forced to take a break is mentally draining. If you take a break when you're fresh and you're like, cool, now's the time to do it, it's part of your plan. So it's a good thing. So it keeps you, like, if the part of the plan is to back off, rather than being forced, you feel like more in control. I've been doing that like a while, since I've been working with AMF anyway, like, and taking that, like, cause you know, 100% or nothing, you can't go 100% all the time. Like, if you think you're going 100% all the time, you're fucking not. That's basically it. You can't do it all the time. And let's be honest, once you've been in the anabolic game like long enough, you're probably not going to like progress when you're not on it. Like yeah. Let's be fucking honest. Once you're like fucking 290 deep, 300 deep, which a few of us are, you know, like, what, you're going to be able to just maintain that or not? Like, your aim is to just maintain it if you can. But you probably, you know, I think people that think that they can, maybe there are. The genetic people probably can. Here on planet Earth with me, I accept defeat on that, and I'd rather look after my tendons during that time and take a step back so that I can then take 2 steps forward. Otherwise, I just burn out and die.
But that comes with maturity, right? Because you wouldn't have done that when you were 22, 23.
Nah, fuck me, I didn't have a
you wouldn't have listened.
Yeah, they were like, talked about like deloads, and like everyone's having deloads now. They've been training a year, they do bikini, they have a deload. Man, I had a deload for fucking 6 years. I never even heard of a deload. The fuck is a deload?
That's the only thing I think maybe, I don't think I wish I did more, but I think there's a lot, maybe a little bit too much of it. People that are first starting, is I feel like they're putting too much effort into the wrong things. Maybe.
Yeah,
Just
but
the only-
imagine the information and the people that you know at your age. When I did my first show, literally, it was an email that was supposed to be sent to someone else. That someone went, oh, this was a prep someone did once. Why don't you do this? And I was like, oh yeah, I'll do this. And like it was literally a diet for someone else that I just did. And I did posing by like watching like the Nabba West in like 1995 or something. Going, that looks okay. I was completely shit with like no legs, but also like you have to go and find that shit out. But your starting point being generation arse candle or whatever you are, like, is you're already in such a better position. Like there was no fucking, I didn't know how to talk to a bodybuilder. They didn't fucking exist. Where did I find these mythical creatures? I've seen them in the magazines.
Or if back then, like, they were all grumpy fuckers as well, weren't they? In the gym, you don't go speak to them.
Yeah, surely you don't have them like in like, you know, like the real world. Like,
well, you could just have just done what Ryan does, which is like go and stalk them and move into their basement.
Yeah, I know. I could just turn up. You imagine just turning up in Dorian's basement. Hey,
Daddy.
You just get stabbed to death, though, wouldn't you?
What I found is if they don't kick you out after 3 months, I kind of obviously appreciate you there.
It's called squatters' rights, mate. That's what
I remember when in 2009, I think back, my diet, my first ever show was a step away from fish and a rice cake.
Yeah, two fish and a rice cake, or a fish and 2 rice cake.
Well, I did 0 carbs, so it was just fish.
I did that for I did do that for Body Power 2012. That was my second show, I think. And I won because no one was massive back then. I wasn't massive. I think I was like 106 on stage. Or
were you in shape?
Yeah, I was in shape.
There are some people that could do it. That could do eating some fish and fucking rice cakes.
Yeah. I did do 0 carbs for 12 weeks. I think I had like a refeed once a week or whatever. And like I said to myself, yeah, it's carb backloading, keto, something. I don't know. But ultimately, I just ate nothing and worked fucking 8 hours on the doors, kicking people half to death. Like that's like the reality. But I didn't need to do that. But at that age, your body's like, that's probably all right. They'll just mix some cocaine in. It's going to be fine.
There's a lot of NABA. There's a lot of good NABA guys that have done that. A lot of good NABA guys that I know.
Yeah, sometimes you're not hungry. To be fair, I am like no, none of that shit for years and years and years. Because I'm completely insane. And so I thought when you are a complete box of frogs, it's usually a bad plan to start pouring narcotics in.
It's interesting how many boys, like the big pros back in the 90s, were partying without partying. You know?
Yeah.
They were using them as pre-workouts and as pre-cardios. I'm like, God damn, they're effective.
Meth is probably a pretty potent pre-workout. As Craig Titus found out by burning his wife alive.
Even things like a lot of Adderall's used, stuff like that as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I went to the States, I spoke to a guy that I knew there who was a pro, and he had loads of amazing stories of the 90s. His name's Mike Ergus, actually. The 212 guy's been around on the scene for ages. But yeah, mate, some mad shit going on in Gold's Gym back in the day. Like, mad.
Yeah.
You know, no one was fucking vegan. They were all taking Nubane. And now we've got, like, fucking all sorts going on. Yeah. So I feel a bit better about not doing Nubane and stuff like that.
Have you ever tried it? I definitely would if I could get hold of it, just to see what it feels like.
Mate, that's a shit idea, if I heard one.
On the podcast, Ryan, please.
Number one shittest idea, but I'll mail you some over. Gotta do all of it, though, Milos said. All in the main vein.
That was only a joke, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, Mum.
What's your mum going to say, Ryan?
Wait for the edit request at the end of the show.
No, it's fine.
Got to submit a slip.
It's crazy though. Like, there's a lot of things that aren't used now that were used, and I do think they wonder if that was like kind of why
Agent
physics is so
Orange.
different. Yeah. Oh, that's so weird. I've actually got this is an Agent Orange war memorial band from Vietnam.
Really? Because
Yeah.
that's not what I was talking about.
I was talking about Ultimate Orange, probably, weren't you?
Ultimate
Orange.
That's what I meant.
What is that?
The Effigen pre-workout, wasn't it?
What did I say?
Agent Orange.
It's like that's fucking napalm, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what the Americans dropped in Vietnam.
That's like proper war crimes. Yeah, don't take napalm, guys. You will die. But New Bane and Agent Orange, fine. But don't do a whole line.
What was it? Ephedrine pre-workout.
Yeah, Ultimate Orange back in the day.
Yeah, I don't think there were any oranges in it.
No.
Just like pure ephedrine.
I think there was some other bits in it, wasn't it? Like bitter or
Just like
weird shit to make it people think that it was something else.
Do you know what talking about odd drugs and things? I tried for so long to get hold of some EPO and I couldn't fucking get any. There's one thing I wanted to mess around with and experiment with it, but I really couldn't fucking find it. And I'm like, all these cyclists have got it.
Yeah.
All these CrossFitters, I couldn't find. I exhausted every fucking contact I have trying to find this shit, and I couldn't get any. I'm not advocating it, by the way. I have no idea whether it would have worked. I'm just a little anecdotal story there. I tried to hunt it down. I couldn't fucking get it.
Saracens might have been able to get some.
Sorry?
Your mates at Saracens might have been able to get some.
I haven't been in contact with any of those fuckers.
Just message Michael Hearn.
Yeah.
What was that thing about? They said to get higher red blood cells that Dorian would take his blood out and then like let it congeal a bit, and then put it back in.
Yeah, well, that's like indirect EPO, right? I'm talking about literally injecting erythro, whatever, as in medical grade shit that the CrossFitters use. I mean, there's a bunch of CrossFitters. There's that story of the CrossFitter. I don't know any of the CrossFit guys, but he's one of the elite guys. And he said that he was on EPO to the point where his resting heart rate was at like 33 or something ridiculous, right? And he would have to stay up all night and walk around his hotel room so that his heart rate didn't drop any lower. Like, that's how bad it was.
He had to never go to sleep, or he
his blood was so thick and so oxygenated that his heart didn't have to pump as fast, right? So it slowed right down.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the point where it can kind of stop. So he had to keep moving to force to use the oxygen up.
That's amazing.
So EPO would directly double blood volume, no?
I mean,
hemoglobin levels.
I wouldn't put a number on it as such because it depends on the dosage of the person, but it's going to certainly increase your the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood.
Imagine training on that.
Well, that was what I was trying to elicit some sort of.
Remember at one point it was like you could get canisters and they were supposed to have like oxygen in them and you could like spray oxygen.
Like the silver one it was like a silver one with a green lid on it.
Yeah.
Did anyone ever try that? I always wanted to try that.
Yeah,
I did. Yeah.
Was it?
There's a guy that came to our gym with a full scuba diving tank.
Amazing.
That's yeah.
Kind of guy. But does the scuba diving have pure oxygen? Surely not.
No, it's a mix in it, but
it does until you get below like 20 meters, because then it turns into nitrogen because oxygen turns poisonous once it's compressed.
Sorry, what? But surely the oxygen in the tank is compressed.
Yeah, but once you get under a certain pressure underwater, like 20 meters, it becomes poisonous. I used to do a lot of diving, so you do nitrogen diving too if you go too deep.
What, nitrogen turns to oxygen under pressure?
Yeah, like atmospheric pressure, yes. It turns poisonous. So they put nitrogen in the tank, so you breathe nitrogen.
That's too much.
You're talking about in the body. You're talking that once you're about the oxygen in the body under pressure, right?
No, actually, like in the tanks, it's not oxygen anymore. They're nitrogen.
So they're
It's good.
nitrogen because nitrogen turns to oxygen in the body under a certain pressure.
I don't know the actual science of it. All I know is that
Don't give
under
me half shit here, man.
under like 22
Ben
meters.
Chow's fucking minds are going tick, tick, tick. You're giving me half, you're fishing me in.
I think it's 20 or 22 meters, something.
No,
Yeah, it's definitely nitrogen diving, so it's nitrogen in the tank.
I'm not going to
I don't know what your body does with it. It's too hard for me to do now. When I was lighter, it was easy.
It scares the shit out of me.
Yeah. Well, you can do it now. Your head would take you to the surface.
Yeah.
No, also, like, I tried to do it maybe last year, and I did like 10 minutes on 2 extra large tanks because my breathing's so fucking bad. That's where like that would last you like 90 minutes. It's crazy. You know, like my first ever, when I first did my first course, the first thing you have to do to scuba dive is sit on the bottom of the sea, take all the gear off, open your eyes, and put it all back on again. It was the fucking worst thing I've ever done. It was crazy.
I'm not good in water, man. Fuck that.
I hate it.
I'm not going to do any of that. The fish can stay there. I don't need to see them. They're just minding their own business. You don't see the fish coming up here, fucking nosing around our stuff, do they? No, leave them to it. Top news though, Nando's apparently is part of like re-engagement in the restaurant system, slashing their prices. Yeah, I might want to Google that, Mr.
It might now be normal price.
Yeah, it might actually be worth going. Yeah,
That's 20 quid, like.
I'm going to offend some people here. I never understood the Nando's hype. I eat chicken and fucking rice all day, every day. The fuck I'm going to go to a restaurant and order chicken and rice?
I agree.
For all the people that don't eat chicken and rice ever, but thought they were on the bro science, whose mum made them ham and cheese sandwiches, like to go to work with, and then they sat with their bros in vests and then ate.
After, go to the gym and then go to Nando's after, and they're growing.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Honestly, I don't want to go to a restaurant and eat the fucking same food.
No.
The only reason I find it handy is if I'm like dating or something. If I'm dating and it's the off season, I'd rather go to Nando's and get a chicken and rice there and look like I'm taking her for food than, you know what I mean?
Finger banging her behind a fucking skip.
that works as well, man.
Yeah, look, it's food. It might be shit and cheap, but at least it makes you sound less of a slag when I tell the story of how I fucked you in an alley. Oh, hold on, Alex is shouting at me. What? Shut up, bitch. I'll shut the door. She's telling me to stop it. She doesn't like my stories.
No.
But luckily, she hasn't watched one of my podcasts ever because she's an unsupportive cunt bag. So she went.
It's probably a good thing, Dan, to be fair, because you probably wouldn't be getting married. So.
That's true. It might be coming too deep with the man thing, to be honest. It was kind of an arrangement with her dad, to be honest. So she's got nothing to do with it. So she gets fucking given.
Okay. Sounds like you bought her.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't pay a lot.
Always looking for a deal.
Yeah, I always looking for a deal. I remember her dad come round and showed me this, like, fucked barn. He was like, I'm going to build you a house here. And I was like, oh, God, this guy's fucking mental. He's not going to build a fucking house. My dad used to say all kinds of things about how he was going to fix the front door and all that sort of stuff. These mad claims that he was going to do stuff. This guy's obviously full of shit. And then he was like, yeah, so I'm going to build this about this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, cool, yeah. Anyway, so he did actually build us a house. And then he was like, thing is, you can't just live here. You have to take her away from me. And so that's how we have a house. By removing her. So now I have custody.
That's not a bad deal, is it? You build a house, you have to, she's now yours.
I put a few, like, I salt the bars sometimes so she can, like, lick them.
I think that's a suitable bombshell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ben, we did the question. There was one question. There were like 5 things. What are the 5 top tips take away from today's Ben Chow experience?
Don't do New Bane.
No New Bane.
No New Bane. Be fucking patient, Ryan.
Yeah, right.
No, I wish a lot of young bodybuilders would know when to pull back a little bit, right? I think that's a useful bit of advice that a lot of us only learn 10 years too late. And don't be in such a hurry, right? It's a long, unless, like you said, unless you're a fucking freak, and a lot of us like to think we are, you're not.
If you're wondering if you're a freak,
Yeah, yeah. If it's up for debate, then don't worry about it. And then, I don't know, what else?
I think that was 3.
That's 3. Yeah, don't be late for a podcast. That's another one. Yeah. And I guess my little, from my niche of be transparent, be open, be accessible, be yourself, because it's easier to not have to keep up the lie, right? Otherwise you're gonna trap yourself in circles trying to pretend to be someone you're not. Just, yeah.
There we go. There's the soundbite. That was decent. I like it.
Right then, Ben. Thank you for coming on, bud.
Yeah, thanks, man. Great to meet you.
Right,
Thank you. Yeah.
Enjoyable. It's my only bit of social interaction other than the pigs and the goats. Yeah, we had 9. Yeah, we got 9 pigs, 2 goats, 2 dogs. Yeah. We have more pigs. We have more pigs, but we sold them.
Is it just you 2 that live there?
I've got a stepson, 8-year-old, and the in-laws live on the ranch next door to us. So.
Oh wow.
But we
it's actually in Texas.
Yeah, I'm in Texas. I mean, we're in the buttfuck of nowhere. Like, our nearest Walmart is 52 miles away.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit, bro.
It's like there's no takeaways. There's no.
Oh.
It's nothing.
Are you like mentally? Are you happy? Are you good there?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
I think if I was 15 miles, like literally nothing near you.
I'd love that.
There's a railway line.
Have you got like a motocross bike or anything like just for fun, or?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch. Like, we've got jet skis and there's a lake.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's doing all right.
It's okay. It's a nice, simple life out here. It's like.
Do you ever like get like, you know, run into the city for a tear up?
When things were open, yeah, we were going to. I mean, Dallas is about an hour and a half from us. Fort Worth is about an hour. So.
Surely Dallas, like an hour and a half in America talk, is like literally around the corner.
Yeah, it's not much.
Yeah, the thing is, there's no fucking traffic. You just jump in the truck and hit 90 all the way. I do want to move a little closer, probably Fort Worth way once the kid is a little older. So once my son turns up and he's probably 8 or 9 or 10, because I want to get him into some like jiu-jitsu and stuff, and there's no schools around here or anything. So, you know, for a kid that age, once being like, my stepson's 8, so up to now he's fine because he's just fine around the house, and like granddad owns a trucking business, so they go and work on the trucks, and he can fix an engine, I can't. But like that stuff's all great, but once he starts to become like a teenager, there's fuck all for him out here, you know.
Yeah, of course.
So, but yeah, I don't know. It's right now. It's what I needed mentally, and you know, I'm happy with. You'll learn, Ryan. You'll learn. Leave all the hype alone and just settle for a simple life. Nice.
Easy life. Yeah,
no, cool. No, I'm not saying it's not something I wouldn't like. I was just wondering, like.
No. Look, when I was 20, before my bike accident, I had a apartment on the Thames in London, in Fulham, and was all about the weekend life. And, you know, I thought I knew what I wanted out of life. And then as I got older, you realized that that's not, for me anyway, you know, that wasn't, I like a bit more of a.
I think everyone's experienced a bit of a solitary life over lockdown.
Yeah.
And some people embraced it and some people lost their shit.
Yeah. Well, like I say, it's a choice though, right? If you choose, like if I've gravitated towards this out of choice, if it was forced upon me, I don't think I'd like it that much.
But Dan's like nuts full time anyway, so.
Me, 360, I shout at traffic if there is any. Sit on bus stops.
Hey, you should come out here. There's a couple of donkeys across the road you could shout at. I'm not joking. They're fucking mental and they're so loud. You'd lose that.
Shit, a fucking donkey.
You'd lose that battle, mate. There's two of them and they go.
Oh, mate, that's it. I'm coming over. I'll start jogging now. Fucking print me a visa. Ryan, I know you've got a few on the go.
The only way to get in the country right now is probably a private jet.
Right. Enjoy your mixing session, Dan.
Peace out, Ben.
Yeah.
Cheers, Ben.
Take
Thank
care,
you,
Ben.
mate.
See you later. Take care.
Thanks, gents.
Thank you.